And now we are live. Hi, hello, magandang tanghali. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another session of Career Talk Thursdays. I'm Roan and I'll be your host for today. So this is the 21st session and this afternoon we will be talking about how to be confident in job interviews. So pinakinggan na natin ang inyong hiling, 'di ba? Based sa mga feedback na sinubmit nyo, gusto nyo talagang pag-usapan kung paano ba talaga maging confident sa job interviews. And para ito sa mga fresh grads, Gen Zs, or young millennials na gusto magkaroon ng confidence para sa kanilang job interview. So, wag na nating patagalin. Let's all welcome our guest speaker for today. So, Mira is a graduate of BS Psychology from the University of San Carlos and started her career with Optum Global Solution Philippines last 2017 as a care coordinator. She worked her up as a senior recruitment operations specialist and presently taking on a new role as a sourcing associate for campus and graduates program. So, ayan, let's all welcome Miss Mira. Hello, Miss Mira.
Hello,
Kumusta?
Roanne. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for that introduction. Hello,
So,
everyone.
ayan. So, bago tayo mag-start, konting ano lang, chikahan. Wow,
Okay.
nakichismis. So, syempre, gusto lang natin konting kilalanin pa
Mm-mm.
si Miss Mira. So, can you briefly share your college life back then? And
Mm-mm.
nabanggit na naman natin kanina yung konting overview sa career journey mo. Pero gusto
Mm-mm.
lang natin malaman kasi yung mga audience natin ngayon nandun sila sa ano sa phase kung saan magta-transition sila from college life to
Mm-mm.
world of work. So, konting ano lang, overview about your college life and yung sa career mo. Ayun.
Okay. Sige. So, as mentioned earlier, I studied in San Carlos. I took up psychology. And then after graduating, I actually took the board exam for psychometrician. But I did not pursue that career because I got hired in Optum, and then I get to learn the job as a recruiter. So that's why I did not pursue a career that's more related to the board exam that I took. And so far so good, no regrets naman.
So, bale yung first work mo, yun pa rin yung work mo up until now. Parang first company and
Yes,
ngayon.
somehow same company. Before lang, I was just under an agency and then based ako
Mm.
sa Optum and then I got absorbed. So, I've been with Optum actually if we count overall 7 years na.
Grabe no, hashtag loyal.
Yes.
Commitment, 'di ba? Ayan. So, ngayon, isi-share ni Miss Mira yung kung paano maging confident nga sa job
Mm-mm.
interviews. And syempre, di ba, naka-handle ka na rin, Miss Mira, ng job interviews as
Mm-mm.
interviewer. So,
Yes.
ayan, mag-share siya ng experiences niya as an interviewee and interviewer. So,
Mm-mm.
uh, ready na ba for your presentation, Miss Mira?
Yes, I'm good na.
Okay.
All right. So, hi everyone. Good noon. I would just like to thank you all first for taking the time. Siguro lunch break nyo ngayon or break nyo ngayon, and thank you for taking the time to join this session. Again, my name is Almira and I'm going to talk about how to be confident in job interviews. But let me just start first with introducing the company that I work with, which is Optum Global Solutions Philippines. So if you're not yet familiar with us, we are a United Health Group company, which is the largest health insurance provider in the US. So our mission in Optum is to help people live healthier lives and to help make the health system work better for everyone. So we are a Fortune 5 company serving virtually every dimension of the health system. Approximately, we are now at 330,000 employees worldwide and then over 19,000 in the Philippines. And we're still continually growing. And we work with a diverse set of clients across 150 countries. And we touch nearly at every aspect of the healthcare financing and delivery. So now that's out of the way. I believe most of you here are graduating students or graduate students already. So it's easy to assume that you're already done or you've submitted already your resume or cover letters to the company that you want to work with. Yes? Okay, so when you got through the door, after you submit your resume, usually the step is you get a call and you get a schedule for your interview. So that's the time wherein you can show the interviewer that you've got an A grade communication skills. You know, studies found that when hiring recent college graduates, 85% of employers rank oral communication as a very important skill. So that means communicating confidently and eloquently. So it's easier said than done, right? So I know job interviews can be incredibly stressful, particularly if you are really excited about the opportunity before you. So it's perfectly fine to be nervous when interviewing. Me personally, I've never been great with job interviews and public speaking. So right now, I'm not sure if you can or can't tell if I'm nervous or not. So in fact, surveys have shown that more than 9 out of every 10 people gets nervous when doing an interview or speaking to the public. So, if ever public speaking is not your forte, there are actually some tried and true techniques to make you feel and sound more confident during the moment in the interview spotlight. All right? And but first, let's define first what confidence is. So, according to psychology today, confidence is a belief in oneself, the conviction that one has the ability to meet life's challenges and to succeed, and the willingness to act accordingly. So, being confident requires a realistic sense of one's capabilities and feeling secure in that knowledge. So, let me just take a pause for a moment here and let the definition of confidence sink in. All right. So if this is too wordy for you, let's just put it in simpler terms. So basically confidence is a belief in oneself. Basically the it means that you believe in your own capabilities to succeed in life. Okay? All right. So confidence is actually not an innate or fixed characteristic. It's an ability that can be acquired and improve over time. So today, I want to help you with that by sharing with you 6 techniques on how to speak confidently. All right. So let's begin right away with the first one, which is practice your answers and record yourself. So when we are put on the spot, like public speaking or job interviews, we tend to have these vocal tics like and you know. So these vocal tics are what we know as fillers as well, make you sound unconfident or worse, unprofessional. But don't worry because we actually all have them, even if we don't notice it. So that's why one of the best way to get rid of those is to recognize them by rehearsing in front of a video camera. So this is just one way to look into those habits. Once you have the video camera, you can ruthlessly assess your performance. You can start by finding the questions the interviewers are most likely to ask. Then you can make a video of your answers and look out for your nervous habits. Nervous habits, for example, like twirling your hair, tapping your foot, speaking quickly, and also using filler words. See if you are doing it at certain moments, like between sentences or when you can't find a word to say. So basically, that's the purpose of recording yourself because then you can see where you usually do those nervous habits. I'm sure you've all heard about the saying, practice makes perfect. It's actually a cliche for a reason because it's tried and true. In my personal experience, I can tell you that never go into an interview without practicing some of the questions that are sure to come your way. You can actually train yourself and practice your way to eliminate those nervous moments. So when I was a fresh grad as well, of course, I did several interviews before I landed a job in Optum. And one of my mistakes is not practicing my answers before going to those interviews. So that's my first way or technique to speak confidently. Practice your answers and record yourself. All right. So let's move on to the second one. Have talking points. So you can go back to your list of interview questions to create a set of rehearsed talking points you can fall back on if ever your nerves start to get the best of you or once you get nervous again, because in on presidential campaigns, candidates are actually coached to have key bullet points memorized. Because when they are faced with a question they weren't expecting, they could often pivot to answering the question by looking into their bullet points. Again, this is memorizing key bullet points and not memorizing the whole answer to that specific question, because tendency, if you memorize the answers, you will sound scripted or robotic during the interview, and somehow we don't want that. Okay, you might not be running for president, but if you've mastered to answer the questions like what's your greatest strength, why do you want to work at this company, and even doing a solid research of the company that you're interviewing with, you'll have a solid know-how um, to fall back on, and that preparation will never betray you and will add to your overall feeling of confidence. All right. So practice again your talking points, and that will leave your employers with a memorable impression on your capabilities. All right. So let's move on to the next one, which is speak slowly. So one mistake often people often make when interviewing is to speak in a manner similar to how one would speak in a conversation with a friend. So sanay tayo na when we do a conversation, it's somehow fast paced because it's like talking to a friend. We are comfortable when talking to a friend. However, interviews typically call for a different form or tone of speaking. Because if you speak so quickly, as you usually do, you can come across as impulsive, unprepared, and disorganized. So if you are particularly a fast talker, you can also be difficult to understand. So if we wrap our way through the interview, hindi ka maintindihan ng interviewer. So instead, you can take your time to speak with a pace that's a bit slower than your typical conversational pace, because that way you can better communicate your thoughts clearly and give the recruiter time to process them. So it works both ways because of course communication is two ways. So paano kayo magkakaintindihan if mabilis ka magsalita and then your interviewer won't be able to understand what you just said. All right. So again, that's speak slowly. Right now, we are halfway actually on the techniques that I'm going to tell you on how to speak confidently. So we might say that we are now 50% confident to face our job interview. So let's bump it up until we reach 100%. All right. So moving on to the fourth point is stop strategically or don't fear silence. So one of the things that often creates stress during our interviews is when we don't have the answer to a question right away. Perhaps it is something we haven't thought about before, or maybe you can't just immediately recall something or you forgot a specific word. So just remember that some questions are actually there to see how you respond under pressure. And during these times, don't worry about taking the time to think. Or In other words, think before you speak. All right? So relax, try to relax and give the best answer or example you can. A few seconds may not sound like a long time, but taking an extra second or two could give you time to formulate a winning answer. Because during interviews, some recruiters are looking into your communication skills, and 3 to 5 seconds long pauses after they give the question and you take 3 to 5 seconds to answer, that's actually a long time already for the recruiters, and that will affect your impression to that recruiter. Okay, so since you've already practiced your answers, have bullet talking points, and you know how to speak slowly, basically taking an extra second or two is already enough for you to arrive to that winning answer. So that don't underestimate that second or 2 seconds. Okay? All right, moving on to the fifth point. It's practice deep breathing. So if nerves still continue to creep in before or during the interview, because it happens, focus on your breath. Because when we are stressed or anxious, we tense up and forget to breathe, or we breathe shallowly. And that exacerbates the feeling of being overwhelmed or hello panic mode. But luckily, simply pausing to just take a breath and holding it for a moment can help our body to calm down and feel less anxious. So in psychology, we actually have something what we call as 478 method. This is for anxiety. So you just close your mouth and breathe in through the nose for 4 counts. Hold that breath for 7 counts and release or exhale it through the mouth for 8 counts. And that actually helps relieve your anxiety before your interview. You can also get in the better habit of better breathing by using or try using a guided meditation app. Like, for example, Headspace or Spotify podcast before your interview. So, again, never underestimate the practice of deep breathing, because if you've noticed yogis or monks, they practice this one. And if you can see them, they're actually very calm people. Okay? So never underestimate, and you can always do a 478 method. All right. So moving on to my last but not the least point, mind your body language. So this is actually one of the easiest way to convey confidence during a job interview. No matter how nervous you must feel, you can still give your confidence a boost with a little help from your body. So body language doesn't just affect the way people see you, it can also change the way you feel about yourself. And when we feel good, that translates to how we speak and how we act towards other people. All right. You can actually start this by greeting the interviewer with a solid handshake, because this makes a positive first impression. However, since we're still in the pandemic, some recruiters or interviewers might not be comfortable yet with this one. So if you can skip this, then you can just replace it with just a big smile and nodding, or greeting them positively when you start the interview. Okay. You also want to practice sitting with your back straight and head held high. And when listening, you can lean slightly forward, because that conveys that you are actively listening to the recruiter. Also, most importantly, throughout all of this, it is important to maintain a natural and consistent eye contact. And basically, this is what you can do virtually and if face to face interviews, maintaining a natural and consistent eye contact. So, all in all, proper posture is a great way to come across as prepared and confident. All right. So before we end this session, I just want to summarize everything so that of course it can be imprinted in your mind, hopefully, and be able to use these tips. So again, number one is practice your answers and record yourself. Number two is have talking points. Number three is speak slowly. Fourth point is stop strategically or don't fear silence. Number five is practice deep breathing. And number six is mind your body language. So these job interview tips can help you boost confidence before interview and show your future employers that you care for the job that you are applying for. So job interviews can be frightening and nerve-wracking. But if you go in knowing what your individual brand value is and how your skill sets can benefit the company, you'll be adequately prepared to position yourself as the best candidate for the position. So, overall, the main point of all of this is just the more you prepare, the more comfortable and confident you'll be. So, hard work and practice will not betray you with anything that you will do. And before I end this session, I just want to leave you with this. What makes you special can inspire your life's best work. So, again, thank you everyone for lending me your ears, and I hope you learned a thing or two from this session. I am very open and excited to answer your questions as well if you have any. So, that's it. Thank you. Back at you, Roanne.
Hello? Ayan. So, meron lang tayo mga questions dito. And hopefully, ma-answer to ng guest speaker natin for today. So, yung first, syempre, di ba, napag-usapan na natin kung paano tayo magkakaroon ng confidence para sa ating
Mm-mm.
mga job interviews.
Mm-mm.
So, sa point of view ng isang recruiter, gaano ka-importante ang interview sa isang job application process?
Okay. So, treat an interview parang getting to know you sa future employer mo. Siyempre, we don't want to hire someone na hindi namin kilala. So, that's why there are interviews because we want to get to know you and what can you possibly contribute to the company. So that's why then it's very important to show up. Kasi if you don't show up, somehow that will leave an impression to the recruiter as well. So again, treat it as a getting to know you with your future employer.
So, meron tayong question din dito na sabi ni Francis, how do you
Mm.
speak confidently if you suddenly don't know how to answer the follow-up technical questions that the interviewer asked or how to respond to questions you don't know the answer to? Ayun.
Okay. Alright. So, parang natural naman siguro na baka mangyari yan. Pero, yun yung purpose. That's why we have to prepare and practice. Just for example, you're applying for a tech support position. So, as mentioned earlier, you can research the most like ask questions during those interviews and you have to know your craft, but it's also not wrong to admit that let's say for technical questions you it's okay to admit that you don't know the answer to that, but you are willing to learn and to change that you don't know that specific question. So it's okay to admit just in case that you really haven't prepared or you haven't really or you don't really know the answer to that specific question. Okay lang to admit that you don't know that specific area, but you are willing to change that and you're willing to learn more. But ideally, you should know the answers to those specific questions. That's the purpose of preparing and practicing before you have your interviews.
So, yung follow-up question dito, if make or break ba ang job interview in a recruitment perspective?
For us here in Optum, yes, it's a make or break because of course it's the first step. And if you don't go through or you don't pass that first step, then you won't be able to have everything else. Basically, treat every step in the recruitment as make or break. Because, of course, if you don't pass that specific process, then you will not move on and you will not arrive in the goal that you're trying to have, which is getting hired.
So, paano naman natin masasabi na successful ang isang job interview?
Mm. Okay, for me siguro based on my experience, masasabi ko na successful yung job interview is if I was able to answer the questions clearly, and also if I was able to ask relevant questions to the interviewer. If I get to know more about the company based on that interview. So I can say that successful yung job interview if all of the questions or all of the things that I've prepared for come out of that specific interview. So basically, that's on my personal take based on experience din. Because hindi din naman like one interview lang ako then go kaagad. I've
Hmm.
had a lot of interviews before I landed a job, and ang daming fail kasi hindi nga ako nag-prepare.
Tanong naman ni Jennifer, what are the common mistakes we should avoid during the interview?
Sige. So, yung napapansin ko sa mga fresh graduates is yung they sound scripted. Kasi nga, common questions naman yung ina-ask namin, especially if fresh grads kasi wala pang work experience. So usually it's the same questions for everyone. So what we notice is they sound scripted or robotic during the interview kasi nga memorize nila yung answer nila to those specific questions. As I've pointed earlier, you should just memorize your key bullet points. Dapat bulleted lang yung memorize mo, hindi yung whole sentence, because yun nga, you will sound scripted during the interview. One thing as well that we notice is, yun nga, they feel nervous kasi they did not prepare before the interview. They don't have the answer to some questions because they did not prepare. Usually, yung hindi na prepare ni applicant na question is, why do you want to work in our company? Or why do you want to have this job? So, hindi sila nakaka-answer kasi they did not research beforehand about the company and about the position that they're applying for. Usually, yun lang naman kasi the other questions will be mainly about yourself. And you can answer that naman since you know yourself, of course. So, yun lang. Being like sounding scripted during the interview for fresh graduates, and yung not researching about the company and the position.
Ayan. So,
Mm.
basically, paano mo masasabi na confident ang isang applicant during a job interview?
Okay. Marami na kasi ako na-encounter na fresh graduates na makikita mo talaga na they're nervous. And I would say normal naman talaga maging nervous. Like right now, I'm nervous naman doing this public speaking session. Pero you do it scared. Parang you're still scared but you do it scared. That's why preparation is very important. Kasi even though you're scared, but you're prepared, you can still answer those questions. What we do usually is we ask the candidate if they are nervous. And if they say yes, we give them a little bit of time to breathe. And then ask them, once you're ready, just let me know. And then we can proceed with the interview. So, considerate naman yung mga interviewers, especially if klarong-klaro talaga na kinakabahan yung candidate.
Meron tayo ditong question pa na how can you stay confident knowing that you are underqualified for the position you are applying for?
Okay. Medyo mahirap siya. Kasi if you know na underqualified ka for that position, parang basically, hindi ka talaga confident that you will get the job because you know that you are underqualified. Maybe if ganun ang like case, why did you apply for that specific position if you know that you are not qualified? So siguro just look into yourself na lang kung bakit ka nag-apply for the position when you know you're underqualified. Maybe you'll arrive to the realization na you're underqualified nga but you are willing to take the risk or to learn more about that specific position. And again, you can research what else is in that position that you can say that you're underqualified, and how will you work on that specific areas that will make you qualified for that role. Kasi yun nga, if you're underqualified, why are you applying for that position? Maybe you saw something in yourself din na baka makonsider ako for the role because I'm like this, I'm like that. So somehow look into yourself na lang siguro on how you can parang ilaban yung sarili mo to that kind of position.
And assuming na ibe-based ko lang siya do sa topic natin for today na
Mm.
paano siya maging confident sa job interview na knowing
Mm.
na underqualified siya. 'Di ba sobrang big step na na-invite siya for an interview?
Yes, parang first step kasi talaga is ma-shortlist ka for that interview. So if ever you'll be shortlisted, somehow you can say that may laban ka sa job position na yan. And you shouldn't say na underqualified ka kasi nga umabot ka sa shortlist eh, or you were invited for an interview. So you shouldn't feel low about yourself if that's the case. Mas may excite ka nga if you get invited na for the interview. So you
Hmm.
qualified ka talaga.
Oo, ibig sabihin may nakita sila sa'yo na baka hindi mo
Mm,
lang nakikita sa sarili mo, 'di ba? Ayun,
yes.
reflect din minsan.
Yeah.
Ayan. So, may question dito na how do you respond confidently without being arrogant? What are big no-nos in responding to the interviewer? And is it okay to ask back to the interviewer during the interview po?
Okay. So, confidence and arrogance kasi sometimes nami-mix talaga yan natin, eh, na, we parang sometimes we might say na, baka sobrang confident ko, or when I answer this baka tingin nila sa'kin is arrogante ako. Parang there's a fine line naman, when you say confidence and, being arrogant. Because confidence is knowing your worth, eh. Knowing that, you are capable of that specific job. But being arrogant is parang, kaya ko 'to pero hindi nila kaya. Parang it's like stepping on someone, to uplift yourself ang being arrogant. But in confidence, you somehow ano siya, you know, parang you're aware that you are capable of this job without stepping on others. Kasi if arrogant, sasabihin mo, kaya ko 'to compared sa kanila kasi sila ito lang natapos nila in school but ako ay finished masters, yung parang gano'n. So that's the line between confidence and being arrogant. And then your second question, big no-nos in responding to the interviewer. I guess parang what do you call this? Parang common sense na lang na respectfully responding to the interviewer. So parang how do you speak to someone respectfully is somehow the same with how you will respond to the recruiter. And it's very okay to ask back questions to the interviewers. We actually encourage questions, especially after the interview. We much appreciate if you ask questions like about the position, about the company, and about the culture of the company. Basically, like that. We actually like candidates who ask questions during or after the interview. So, yun.
Tanong naman ni Catherine is if there's a specific technical skill the job requires that we don't have but we would love to be trained for it, how can we sell ourselves as fresh graduates for that role?
Okay. Yes. Magandang question yan. Thank you, Catherine. Actually, we encounter a lot of this kasi nga, 'pag fresh graduates ka, medyo limited naman talaga yung knowledge natin when it comes to the corporate world or the office world, something like that. So what we do or what we want to know with the applicant is really their commitment to stay in the company and to learn more about the company. Kasi usually we find this in the questions like what are your plans in the next 5 years, or how where do you see yourself in 5 years? Some kasi they say na um, they want to learn about the job here in Optum. Pero after 2 years, they're planning to pursue a career related to their course. So, yun na, they're willing naman to learn. However, wala silang commitment to stay in the company for a long time. Also, you can say that you are committed to be trained by saying now willing ka mag-take ng classes maybe outside of the company as well to learn more about that specific company. Kasi we can see naman din if you are genuinely willing to be trained in that specific area. For us in Optum, usually the what do you call this? The skills that they lack most of the time is just really the communication skills. Sometimes we're not sure if it's because they're not confident enough to answer the question, or because kulang lang talaga sila sa training when it comes to communicating themselves. So we actually give chances to those by profiling them to another line of business, or referring them to a different position wherein they can still improve that, but that position does not require that specific skill set. So again, we can actually see through you if you are genuine, if you are committed and really willing to learn more about that specific skill.
Ayan. Yung next question naman natin, what is a confident but at the same time safe answer if the interviewer asks for the expected salary of the applicant? About
Okay.
sa salary naman tayo ngayon.
Okay, sige. Before, kasi sometimes we go, parang ino-oversell din natin yung self natin, especially when we're fresh graduates. When I ask them how much is your expected salary, they usually, sometimes may nagsasabi, I'm expecting 30,000 to 40,000 per month. But somehow that's unrealistic. Kasi nga, what we are trying to buy is your skill. And if you say 30 to 40,000 per month, parang masyado siyang malaki for a fresh graduate. So one way you can be confident or give a safe answer with this one is number one, research about the salary brackets of this specific position. May nahahanap naman, or if ever you're not comfortable with sharing, then you can ask the recruiter actually if what are the benefits or the salary that you will get from that company. Usually we answer naman, but there are instances wherein kasi first part pa siya ng recruitment process. So we don't necessarily put in or get you or give you all of the information with the salary. So let's say for example, you're a fresh graduate and the recruiter asks you how much is your expected salary, you can give a range. Let's say I'm expecting around 17,000 to 25,000. Let's say that's the bracket of the specific position that you're applying for. But again, research is really important for this area because it might be sensitive with the recruitment process of that company. But it's not wrong as well to ask the recruiter if how much they are giving with the position that you're applying for.
Ayan. Ito naman ulit, may tanong ulit si Catherine. As a fresh
Mm-mm.
graduate who were not able to have internships due to the pandemic, how can we make ourselves appear valuable to the company confidently given we have no experience at all?
Okay. Oo nga. Yun din yung current struggles ngayon kasi yung internship na compromise because of the pandemic, which is understandable for all of us employers. I think what you can bet on yourself is your resilience to change or adaptability to change. Kasi nga, parang we weren't expecting naman that the lockdown will be this long. We were not expecting that it will affect most of our lives. And yun nga, how you can make yourselves appear valuable to the company is you can say that res- um you are more adaptable to change, and you are more welcoming to change given the circumstance that you were doing face to face classes and then shifted right away to virtual and not being able to do the internship. So you can say that you are adaptable to change, and that what you learn from school, you can basically apply to face and virtual. So basically, you already have two weapons because you can do things virtually and you can also do those things face to face. So I guess that's your edge.
And siguro habang nasa bahay tayong lahat, pwede kayo
Mm-mm.
mag-take ng mga online courses na libre lang,
Mm-mm.
ganyan. Para may malagay talaga kayo, di ba? And may masabi
Oo.
kayo during job interviews.
Yes, oo, puwede 'yun. Actually, right now with the technology, i-leverage niyo yung lahat ng ino-offer ng technology, put it to good use. You can add it to your resume if you take online courses. I think what we have is you can do it in Skillshare, in YouTube. So, ang dami ng means ngayon. You can also learn from Spotify podcasts.
Mm. Ayan. Yung mga next set of questions naman natin, medyo ano, based sa
Mm.
experience, ganyan.
Okay.
So dito, can you share your most memorable job interview experience as the interviewee dito? Interviewee.
An
Ayan.
interviewee, okay. Siguro what I can recall kasi parang ang tagal na din, parang 2015 pa ba yun? 2014 when I had my first few interviews. So, that was with a BPO company as well. Yung most memorable siya kasi I did not come prepared. So, my answers were all over the place. My times nga na the recruiter is asking me in English, pero I answered in Bisaya and in Tagalog. So, parang that's a big no-no if you're applying for this kinds of position like in HR kasi we speak in English all of the time. So my most memorable one is when the recruiter asked me like what is or what's in me that they should hire me among other applicants. So parang yung in-answer ko is both in I don't recall na may specific answer ha, pero I recall na I answered it in Tagalog and in Bisaya. So parang na-taken aback yung interviewer ko kasi parang ba't sumagot siya in Bisaya or in Tagalog. So after nung question na yun, sabi na niya, okay, I think I got everything I need. And then, yun na, nag-fail na ako for the interview. So yun kasi I did not come prepared and parang kung ano-ano na lang sinasagot ko.
Pero if ever ba ganun yung case, pwede bang magpaalam muna, can I answer using
Hmm,
Filipino language, ganyan? Mas okay ba yon kesa sa parang bigla ka na lang nag-Filipino?
Actually, we have applicants or I've tried asking din yan if the interview should be pure English or I can mix it with Tagalog or Bisaya. Pero usually kasi if you apply for a call center or BPO company, it's really parang meticulous talaga sila in English communication skills. And I was applying for a BPO company at that time.
Yung next naman, as the interviewer, most memorable
Mm.
job interview experience.
Okay. So I had a fair share pero yung most memorable ko is yung candidate talaga is grabe talaga yung nervyos niya, na parang naiiyak na siya sa nervyos. Parang her voice was shaking already. Tapos parang clear talaga sa kanya na nanginginig na yung kamay niya. So, parang for me, that's the most memorable job interview kasi nga, it doesn't happen all the time naman. Kasi 'pag nervous ka, hindi naman lahat ng ini-interview ko kahit nervous nagaganon. Pero yun talaga siya is very evident physically kasi parang she was trying to really catch her breath and she was shaking with yung kamay niya nagshi-shake talaga. So parang what I did is really just gave her time to like breathe and then compose herself. So I let her wait again sa waiting area namin. And then, she can just tap me or call me again if she's ready na. But if ever hindi niya talaga kaya within that day, sabi ko sa kanya, balik ka na lang sa ibang day. Kasi sayang din naman, if you really want this job, then you can come back naman. So I think that's the most memorable job interview for me as an interviewer. To help a candidate that's going through that phase.
Meron ang daming questions sa comment section. So,
Wow.
magtatanong tayo.
Sige.
Uh, are callbacks considered hint of being accepted in the company or institution?
Mm. Yes, of course, callbacks are a hint that you are, let's say, reconsidered or considered for the role. So you should take that as a good sign, the callbacks.
Dito naman, tanong ni Pau. What would be the best answer if the interviewer asked what would differentiate us fresh grads from experienced applicants?
Okay. That's a good question. Thank you, Pau. Basically, what separates fresh graduates from experience is really their willingness to learn. Kasi mas driven sila to, like you guys, if you're fresh graduates, parang mas driven kayo to learn new things in a corporate world. Kasi different talaga from school and then once you get to work na. I think that's the number one that separates you from experienced applicants, your willingness and motivation or your drive to learn new things. And that's what we want as well as employers.
Ito, can you give common interview questions? And kung ikaw ang interviewee, paano mo sasagutin?
Common interview questions ba ni recruiter to?
Oo.
Okay. Sige. So, common interview questions talaga during interview is, tell me or can you tell me something about yourself? So, how should I answer that is, for example, my name is Almira. I'm a graduate of psychology from the University of San Carlos. I took up the board exam for psychometrician and passed last 2015. I worked first, or my first job was in um, staff right solutions as an encoder, and I worked my way up to be a recruiter and got absorbed in Optum Global Solutions. Right now, I'm exploring the new role as a sourcing associate in Optum as well because I've been a recruiter for 5 years and I wanted to learn something new in the company. That's why I'm exploring a new job opportunity. Basically, somehow it's a summary of what you did before and what you're currently doing. Kasi it's more relevant to share your experiences, job experiences, than to say something about yourself. You can throw in a little bit of hobbies. Like, for example, I can say during my free time, I usually what do you call this? I usually travel and take good pictures because I am into photography. Maybe that's it. You can add maybe 1 to 2 sentences about your hobbies or personal life. But most importantly, you can summarize your achievements and your goals. So talk about the past, talk about the present, and you can also talk about a little bit about the future, your future plans.
Ayan. So, Dito naman, one thing na natutunan mo as a sourcing associate ngayon na sana alam mo na nung fresh grad ka pa lang?
Okay. Na ano talaga, very important to enhance your, um, interpersonal skills. Kasi I don't know if you'll believe it, pero very shy talaga ako when I was in college. I was just a wallflower. I was just parang at the side. I don't really raise my hand to ask questions to my teachers. Kung may hindi ako naintindihan, wala lang, parang I'll just go with it kasi I'm too shy to ask for help. I'm too shy to ask questions. So, one thing na natutunan ko talaga is really interpersonal skills, because being a sourcing associate, I get to market our company to different audiences, and I also need to secure partnership with um, like specific institutions or something like that. So yun talaga ang key that I need, or actually right now it's still a continuing battle to enhance my interpersonal communication skills. So I guess that's it.
Continuous learning naman talaga, 'di ba?
Yes.
Kahit na yung
Mm.
mga CEOs natin, ganyan,
Mm.
kaya
Yes.
sila nagiging successful kasi parang as much as possible gusto nilang matuto ng matuto, 'di ba?
Yes, totoo.
Lastly, what is your message to college students, fresh grads, Gen Zs, or young millennials?
Okay, para namang ang tanda ko na dito sa question na 'to.
Young
Kasi
millennials.
oo. Kasi millennial din naman ako. Anyways,
Mm.
siguro my message lang is to take as much as you can, or learn as much as you can while you're still there, and also parang don't be afraid to fail. Kasi sometimes 'pag bata pa kasi tayo, parang if nagfe-fail tayo, parang end of the world na, I will never do this again, kasi parang palpak naman ako, hindi ko alam kung paano 'to gawin. Pero parang in my experience, ang dami ko na ding nagawang mali kasi nga I was too shy, I was too timid to ask questions. So ang dami kong maling napagdaanan, pero yun pala yung way that I can learn more by doing those mistakes. Kasi natututo naman tayo if we do that mistake, di ko na gagawin yun kasi yun yung nangyari before. We get to learn that. So again, that's learn as much as you can. Take mistakes as a learning experience. Everything is a learning experience talaga. Mapamali man yan o tama. And also, parang don't forget to prioritize your mental health. Kasi parang um, especially during the pandemic, parang that's what we all realize, na priority talaga yung mental health. It's equal to physical health. So never compromise your mental health to anything else. Like for example, kahit success pa yan, pero naka-compromise yung mental health mo, that shouldn't be the way to be successful. It should be like holistic. Like you get everything from that specific thing. Pero yun nga, reality of the world is if you get successful, may mako-compromise talaga na isa. Pero hopefully, hindi naman yung mental health. We should take care of our selves din. So I guess that's it lang siguro. Learn as much as you can. Take mistakes as a learning experience, and take care of your mental health. Yun lang.
Paano po kung love life yung na-compromise? Charot.
I've been there.
Ay, parang kailangan ata mag-extend.
Oo nga. Grabe yung
So,
chismis.
grabe 'no, parang career or love or career, ganyan.
Oo,
Mga
yun.
papasok ni Tito Boy. Ayun. Siguro yun pala yung next natin, i-invite natin
Mm.
ulit si Miss Mira. Parang ang title nakaisip na ako agad, love or career,
Grabe naman
So
yan.
Ayan. So, thank you so much for your time and effort to be here, Miss Mira. Sobrang dami namin natutunan. And medyo
Thank
na-curious
you.
kami dun sa love or career na, na choice. Eh. Kasi parang may isa talagang mako-compromise. Parang, ano kaya yung mako-compromise? Ganon. So, ayan.
Thank you
Meron ka
so
bang
much,
gustong
Roan.
i-plug? Thank you so much din, Miss Mira. Meron ka bang gustong i-plug? Meron bang job opening sa
Yes.
Optum or social
Mm.
media platforms?
Yes, for our social media platforms, basically you can just search Optum in all of those and then we will appear. Glaring naman yung logo naman kasi it's in orange. So you can search that, and openings were open whole year for all of our opportunities, like for healthcare advocates. For healthcare advocates, we don't require medical courses. Any course are welcome to apply for our healthcare advocates. So this is also posted in Prospel as well. And you can visit our website, workatoptum.com, for other options or other open positions that we have.
Ayan. So, ilalagay din natin yan sa comment section ngayon.
Mm-mm.
And nakalagay na yung link for e-certificate of attendance para i-claim nyo. I-click nyo lang nasa comment section natin. And next week, meron tayo ulit Career Talk Thursdays. How to stand out and get hired at IBM as a fresh graduate. So, don't forget then to sign up at our platform, ph.prospel.com. Ayan. So, meron ka pa bang gustong sabihin, Miss Mira?
I would just like to say thank you. Ang daming questions ha, nakaka-overwhelm. Charot. Pero thank you for the questions. It's a two-way street. You get to learn from me. I also get to learn from you guys. I get to parang ano yan, papag-isip din sa mga questions niyo. And thank you to
Mm.
Prospel then for this opportunity. I enjoyed it.
Ayan. So, if wala na tayong question, that ends our Career Talk Thursdays, how to be confident in job interviews. Thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, I'm your guest host, Roan. Follow us and stay tuned on our social media channels for updates. So, kita-kits ulit next Thursday. Bye, guys. Bye.